Hello, investors, and welcome to another edition of 18 Minutes with 180 Markets. Momentum. Momentum is certainly one of the most powerful forces in the world, and it can be used for the good or the bad. But in this case, today, we are going to talk about positive momentum. And specifically, we're going to talk about it within the company, IDT Australia, a pharmaceutical manufacturing company, which we spoke with their managing director or CEO as well, Paul McDonald, last year, because IDT certainly has positive momentum as evidenced by last week's first half interim results. And with the introduction, Paul, welcome back.
Thanks, Greg. It's great to be here.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, as I mentioned, you really had some stellar standout numbers, both on the top line, bottom line, product mix, all the way through. Just tell us a little bit about your thoughts.
Yeah, thanks. We set out a strategy about 15 months ago, 18 months ago now, and it was really to increase our factory utilization and get a volume through the plant, turn around, improve cash flows. But then we had a second-tier strategy and a third-tier strategy, which was more about bringing in a mix of products that made sense for the business that we run. These are complex formulations and higher value, higher margin products. The more complexity you put into a pharmaceutical, typically the more margin you can draw from that. So we've successfully built up a book of what we call the sort of more high volume runners to start building out capacity through the plant. And now we're also adding in a new mix in that complexity space. So we're looking at some complex orals, and we're looking at some advanced therapies, precision medicines as well. And we've been able to get traction in the pipeline and generate sales in that space.
Right. So before we get to the complex high margin products,
Okay.
if you will, Paul, the real standout, it seems, would be the API business growing a whopping 800%. Can you just talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, our API division has struggled in more recent times. What happened? We built that's our legacy business, and we built it on the back of an oncology pipeline. And as those products became off patent, those products tended to move toward China, and we didn't have the manufacturing rights to those anymore. So we've rebuilt a whole API pipeline based around innovative medicine. So a lot of clinical trials going into Australia and then also other parts of the world, but it's a favorable market to do first in human in Australia. So we've been able to capture a substantial API market for first in human trials, and most of those starting in Australia.
Right. And Paul, I guess sticking with that for a second, and Australia itself, obviously sovereign risk becoming more of an issue, not just with even critical metals, if you will, which is what Australia is probably well known for, but also pharmaceuticals as well. How does that work for IDT?
This has played into I think the pandemic space really drove. It demonstrated how critical our supply chain was and also how fragile it was. So being cut off from global suppliers through that pandemic has really opened up the doors to IDT. And we find clients now, they want a trustworthy partner, and they want to be with that partner long term. So having the lessons learned through the pandemic, it makes IDT quite a desirable partner. The other thing that we've added to that is we're marketing to these clients that we'll also do their formulation, their tableting, the fill finish, and also the clinical packaging and labeling, and even some level of distribution to clinic. So we've decided we're demonstrating the ability to play more parts of the supply chain and not just the manufacture of API, but some downstream processes as well, which the clients really like, more of an end-to-end offering.
Right. So you're getting deeper, much more embedded with these customers?
Yes. Yeah, and it creates a level of stickiness for one.
Right.
And then it gives return business. So we do a contract for a customer. It might last for 12 months. And then if they disappear, we've got to go out and find a new customer. But now they're coming back for their phase 2 trial or their phase 3 trial or their commercial launch to market. So we're getting a lot of stickiness. We're gaining return work, and that's one of the biggest exciting parts of our turnaround is we've been able to generate a baseline business that's from our current customers. The continued follow through work is really supporting our top line revenue.
Right. And Paul, as I recall from our last conversation, this is something that you have brought to the table where previously, if I recall, again, IDT was unfortunately losing some of those customers as their journey, as they progressed, if you will. And now you can, I suppose, keep them the whole way through.
Yeah, that's right, Greg. I think as they start to expand and progress through the clinical trials, the volume that they ask for, the number of patients that they represent now is expanded. So it really is, we need to expand as they expand, and we need to be talking to them saying, when you come back for phase 3, we need a new line, we need to move out of the 400-litre reactor into a 4,000-litre reactor. We need to scale. We need to scale with you. So we're having those discussions really early in the piece and trying to generate the trust and reliability so that they will follow us through on that and we stay with them the whole journey.
Right. So now we're getting deeper in with the customers, but even more exciting is what I would call the pipeline, if you will, of potential customers. Your leads increase, proposals, contracts, they've all increased here. Can you just talk about those numbers a little bit?
Yeah, the most exciting part there is our step into the psychedelic space with the tablets and capsules. We're synthesizing the API and then we're converting those into tablet and capsules. These are normally about a 6-month project to design a synthetic process in the R&D space, transfer it over into the manufacturing areas. So it's about a 6 months. So these green shoots that we're seeing today are a result of 6 months ago, and the next 6 months is what we're doing for today. So we're really going to start seeing some genuine growth, and not only in the psychedelic space, but we've also pushed into our pipeline into the advanced therapy stream, which is sterile injectable, complex formulations, and targeting around precision medicine. Medicine that has a very targeted approach to the disease and a reduced side effect. In the chemotherapy space, it's about attaching a highly toxic warhead to a tumor and having it absorbed in the tumor and not off target in healthy cells. And in the respiratory space, it's about an mRNA vaccine that's going to release and target an antigen and create an immune response to the body. So these are complex formulations that we're working on. They are in the higher margin space and they're advanced therapy. So we're getting quite a lot of traction there too. While that hasn't hit our top line yet,
right,
it is the result of the work that we've done in the last 6 months. And we'll see that starting to filter through over the next 6 and 12 months.
I was just going to ask you that. Would you anticipate that actually transferring into top line revenue, call it circa end of 2024, beginning of 2025, something about a year from now?
Well, 6 months to 12 months from now,
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
we're seeing the advanced therapy platform really going to become what I believe our biggest platform.
Wow.
So as exciting as the numbers are, 137% for the group, we're going to see continue to see that size of growth as that advanced therapy pipeline comes through.
Right. And Paul, also, I want to talk about competition and specifically these products that you're manufacturing. It ain't so simple, is it?
No. And Greg, I think the more complex the program we're working with, the less competition that we're going to have. And look, the rest of the world catches up. But Melbourne is a research hub and the technology exists here. And a lot of my staff, they've worked in research and development at Pfizer and CSL, and they are world-class researchers, right? So they know
Right.
how to build a product. They've done it for many years. And the more complex that product, then the less competition. Sure, people will catch up, but we're one of the first adopters, and we drive through with that growth spurt.
Right. And not only growth, Paul, when you've come into the business here, as I said, you have a lot of experience in this business. You were also hyper focused on that sales product mix, which was going to drive
Yes.
profitability. It's great to see the results of that. Do you anticipate more of that in the future?
Yeah, I do. I do. And as our we still have plenty of capacity in the facility, right? So there's still an element of me needing to sell the capacity that exists. If we're running at 20-30% capacity, if I can get that up to 50%, that would loosely translate to double the top line revenue, close to. But if I can control the mix and bring in those complex formulations, well, we could go 2 or 3-fold on our current top line. So I'm very mindful of that, and I'm passionate about bringing in a new product mix, a high complex mix. I'm passionate about doing more mRNA vaccines, whether it be in rare disease or whether it be in respiratory or even potentially cancer. And I'm really passionate about bringing precision medicine to the oncology space. And we're playing in that space today.
Right. And for people that don't know, immunotherapies certainly is a absolute breakthrough as far as treating cancer, isn't it, Paul?
Well, it is, because you have the ability to get a poison into the tumor, which is around about 1,000 times more potent than the traditional chemotherapy. And the traditional chemotherapy has no specificity. It will target DNA across the body, regardless of whether it's a healthy cell or a tumor cell. Whereas this precision medicine is going to attach to, it's engineered to bind to a fast growing
Right.
cell, which is a tumor, and it'll attach there, and it'll release the payload, so we don't have the side effects that you would with your standard chemo treatment. So it is exceptionally exciting.
Right. Hey, Paul, I want to keep it short, but to me, it seems like IDT, a growth story. You already have the results. The pipeline looks fantastic. The top line, the bottom line with the mix. In closing, do you have any words for our investors?
Yes. We're just getting started, right? We've built a strategy. We're in the first phase of the strategy, but of a 5-year plan. The next 2 horizons is around those more complex formulations, premium products, precision medicine, advanced therapy. So we see multiples on our top line as these portfolios start coming through, and we win more business. And the other part that comes with this is once our brand gets through the market, there'll be more clients that come to us. They'll seek us out. Oh,
Right.
they manufactured that mRNA. They manufactured that antibody drug conjugate. They'll come to us. So while we've got really good early signs in the complex space, we're really pleased that we're gonna continue growing that and attract more business through the next 2 years. So even what happens today is a result of 6 months ago. What we'll see
Right.
in 6 months is better than today, but what we see in 6 months after that will be better again. And we're really excited with the trend that we're starting to set.
Well, so are we as well, Paul, especially on these difficult market, overall stock market conditions. Definitely stay in touch and we'll be sure to follow the story.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Bye bye.